All right, thanks for watching BE3 podcast. Today, we've got Dad and Craig and myself coming to you from LA at Century 21's Global Conference, and we're having a blast. We got some good information that leads to a deep discussion on about what empower, educate, and encourage actually means. So you're gonna wanna watch this one. Thanks for watching. What's going on, BE3? Another backdrop, another podcast.
Here we go again.
Here we go. And we're in a beautiful ballroom in LA, and we're here for the 121 Century 21 Global Conference, which is amazing. It's really cool. So we figured we're just going to come to you from here and tell you a little bit about what's happening and kind of some thoughts that are going on in our mind. So we got Dad with us today.
Hello, everybody.
And
Craig Beggins here.
Here we go. All right. So we were just chatting. So what do you think? What are your thoughts so far?
I think that the franchise is important because it's trying to set a direction. And I think they had an opportunity today with a couple thousand people in the room to say, look guys, the industry is tough. It's a transaction-based business. We need to turn it into a experience-based business. And so they came up with the mantra to defy mediocrity and deliver extraordinary experiences. And I was thinking that, there's not a lot of no discount to independent brokerages, but there's not a lot of independent brokerages that are trying to change the industry. But it takes something as big as Century 21 to say, we are going to change our portion of the industry. And it's got a big footprint.
Clean up your side of the street first type of thing.
That's right.
Right.
Clean up the neighborhood, start with your front porch.
What's wrong with the industry?
Well, I think it came from some of the videos they showed us. There's a lot of half-assed people who don't know what the hell they're doing in real estate.
Well, look at the stats today with Mike Ferry, right? You missed that part of it. So he was just talking about the stats. 51% of all the agents and most boards do no deals. 51% of all the 1.5 million agents and over 51% of them did not one transaction last year.
I want to be the board. Charge people $1,500 a year.
But I think that's the issue with the real estate business, because there are very few people running it like a business.
Right.
And I love getting Dad's perspective on this one because he's been doing this for quite a while. And you used to run these conferences.
Well, the scary thing to me is that there's two totally different industries. One is real estate when the market is going up, and the other one is real estate when the market's going down.
Okay.
And right now, the market's going up, right? And
Yep.
It's going up substantially, except that in some areas it's not. Miami has a bubble, and Miami's bubble is bursting. Now, why is that bursting? And bubbles don't decrease, they burst. So in my time, it's always been a local business. But now if we take the bubble in Miami that's bursting, it's because the prices have got so high from investors from all over the world that are not investing in other areas other than big areas like Miami, San Francisco, LA.
Well, look at where we are.
Yeah.
LA, we went to your brother's house. It's $10 million and it's not on the beach.
Yeah, but I also walked the streets this morning and saw people in little tents. So then we're looking at what's happening in these cities with these crazy prices that are causing the majority or a big majority of the lower income people to be homeless. It's real estate that's done that. And real estate created it, and is real estate going to fix it?
I would say real estate contributed to it.
Well, if you have a job that's not making enough money to pay for rent at $2,000 a month that would normally be $600 a month in some other state, then you're adding to the homelessness of the place. I've been coming to...
Or the homeless people go to other states.
Huh?
Well, the homeless people go to other states.
Maybe
You're saying
they
it
will.
creates more homeless situation. Yeah, but here's the thing though. Is that a real bubble, or is that just the way the world works? Because nobody's forcing anybody to drop their money in LA or Miami or Orlando or Atlanta or Tampa for that matter, right? They're doing it because they feel safe and they feel that it's a safe place to put their money, especially from an international perspective. So if they're willing to pay $2,000 a foot for a condo, we think it's stupid. They don't, because they'd rather differentiate and kind of just have some other options.
Well, why do you think the market's so high here?
Here, like LA here?
No,
Because
in
the income is
California.
higher.
Because what?
The income is higher.
Why is the income higher?
Because the economy is doing well and consumer confidence is up. People have money, they're looking for a place to put it.
No, it's internet-based businesses. It's Tech Valley. It's Silicon Valley. There's places here that have. I don't think there's anybody making $40 million a year in Tampa Bay, but there's probably a lot of people making $40 million here in California.
So really, technology has increased the income for people, techie type people, and they have migrated to this type area. And so they're the ones that are making the $40 million a year, and they're bringing other people along with them. And the people that don't have any money, the living level, or let's look at it, the 1%'s getting richer, and it's affecting the bottom of the list.
Right.
But it's all going back to real estate. I've been coming to here since the beginning of Century 21 to California. It was always the dream spot. There was never anything wrong. Everybody was dressed well and doing well and having fun and all that stuff. And this time, walking around the streets and looking at the tents and smelling the air and all the other stuff here, it's big change.
Well, I think the population drastically increased too.
Did it?
From the 70s,
Oh yeah.
I think there's 8 million people in LA. That's what my Uber driver said today.
So back to the brand discussion. I think it's pretty interesting
Right.
on this for a second. So I was sitting on a panel yesterday with big broker from South Carolina and a big broker from South Africa,
That's cool.
which is pretty neat. And one of the questions that came up was there was a newer broker in the room that just had converted over to the Century 21 system very recently, and he was kind of asking our advice on how do you grow your business, because they see us doing the content, us doing the training. He's like, how do you do that? So you just have to start, and it's all about attracting and repelling, right? So what we ended up saying, the question was, how do you get the brand to bring you business? And the answer is, a brand's never going to bring you business. It's just, the brand does not bring you business. It's not going to bring you recruits. It might attract a little bit of intention and interest from somebody, but ultimately the brand, the word it went down to, people buy with emotions and they justify with logic, like we talk about all the time. So an agent is going to come work for you if they like you and they trust you. Not that they want to be buddies like Dad, you and I were talking about, but do they believe that you're the best person to put money in their pocket so they can feed their family and take care of themselves? So if they put that trust in you, you're going to win. But you have
But
to
how
be.
do they justify it with logic?
So they're gonna some are gonna like you and some are not gonna like you. Your personality style is gonna piss off a lot of people, and your personality style is gonna attract a lot of people. But that's okay as long as you're doing it at scale, right? And that was kind of where that evolved to. I said once they like you, and they say, you know what, I do think you have my best interest in mind. I trust you, and I think that you're good at what you do in your business. So I'd like to consider a partnership with you. Now is when the brand comes into play, and say, now what else do you have? So I bought you emotionally. But it's the logic of, and you're part of Realogy, and you've got the CRMs, and you got the social engines, and you got blah, 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 you keep going. So that's the nail in the coffin, but it's not the secret magic bullet, right? There is not one. The South African ladies, interesting story, they had an office in Johannesburg, and they sold it, and they had to move far away because of non-competes and opened up a brand new one in a market where Century 21 had gone dark 3 times. Never made it in this particular city that they moved to. And then all of a sudden, within 2 years, they have been the number one in the whole brokerage, in the whole MLS, in the whole region. They're the number one office there in 2 years. And so is that the brand? No.
Nope.
Because somebody else had the same sign, but they didn't have the same energy, didn't have the same ethics, they didn't have the same attraction, or whatever the attraction is. It's a subconscious thing. A lot of time it's an energy. So that person's energy was attractive to enough people to put their trust in that person. And then they said, hey, tell me a little bit about this brand too, because I like you, but what do you have to help me? So I think that's an interesting brand play. That's kind of one of my ahas, is when you go apples to apples, brand to brand, everyone's got cool stuff. So it matters, how do you sell it? You know, is somebody's website better than the other website? It's all basically the same.
Same stuff.
So
people are going to Zillow and Realtor.com anyway.
And ultimately, unless you're trying to grow a business with people that you don't know and you don't trust and they don't know you, if you could be at Aardvark Real Estate, to use Dad's example, and your cousin's still going to buy a house from you.
Right.
Right. So but that's not a business.
Right.
If you're going to grow a business, you need to have other stuff, and that's where the brands really come in to play on that one. So, what say you, brand man?
I have a different view in that Century 21 was a brand that was the most exclusive brand. It was the only one around. And that brand attracted people to the brand, both agents and customers. Now, if the agents weren't good, then that made the brand suffer. So we had to train our people to use the brand, but the brand got such an impact that it would attract the agents that were already here and then attract further agents that wanted to come into the business, and they would say, well, I go into a business with Aardvark Realty or I go with Century 21, and there was really nothing else. And now we fast forward to where even our own brand, Century 21, is kind of mixed up with 7 or 8 other brands that our parent company owns.
Right.
So it's confusing to our agents, but it's also confusing to the general public. So now we've lost that exclusivity of a brand. And then you get people that are not even in the real estate business, like a Zillow or like an Amazon, that now have a bigger brand in other areas that are now tying on to our brand, which is making our brand smaller. So it's confusing to me because I've seen both parts of it.
But go on to that path for a second. So you started Century 21 right when Century 21 just started, right? But is it, I don't know the answer to this question. So was it really the brand or was it the passion behind Art and Marsh that you bought? And because it could have been Century 82 at that point because nobody knew what the hell it was.
No, well, the concept was so unique because the original real estate concept is, as you know, what I'd like to get back to, where the broker was isolated into his own area because he lived there, and he got the neighbors, some of them, to get real estate licenses and then sell in that neighborhood. And then we came in and said, hey, besides selling in South Miami, you buy this brand and you can sell in Hialeah, right, or in Miami Springs or somewhere else. So now the guy's ego got in there and said, hey, I could be really big and expand. And it allowed him to do that. But then when all the other brands came in and the guy was selling not only in South Miami, but Hialeah and Miami Springs, and there were 10 other brands coming in, then he lost his
focus on his first one.
His focus on the first one on South Miami. I think that we can get back into that way. And, that's an old man talking, but we can use technology to get us back into that old feeling of relationship building with our customers. And when they're dealing with such an expensive property, then they want to have someone that they can trust. Trust is the currency of the future. You don't go on Amazon and check out the product you're going to buy without looking at some of the bad reviews and hoping that there are some, because if they're all 5-star, you're not going to buy that product because you don't believe in it.
Yep.
So it's confusing, but and now when we're in a market like this, which is so uncertain, with the stock market dropping a couple 1,000 points in 2 days, with it maybe being total bullshit because maybe there isn't an epidemic going around the world, and maybe but is that 2,000 points going to come back in the next week? And if it does, and half the people say it does and half doesn't, and could that throw us into a recession in real estate? Or would it help real estate because people invest in either the stock market or real estate? Stock market's going to hell, so maybe everyone's going to buy real estate. But what do we know? So you come to a convention like this with a couple of 1,000 people, they all got different opinions. And then you have the experts that are not really on the streets knowing what's going on, and I'm confused.
Well, anyway, my point was, I think it's nice to have executive leadership at the brand level, trying to tell the Indians on the field to clean up your stuff. Let's deliver extraordinary experiences.
They're telling us to do it, but they don't know how to do it because
they're
not cleaning theirs.
Cool
I don't think they're. Well, we just talked about giving awards. Awards for top of the line individuals. And so this one got the awards for the best videos out of 5 top contenders, and we didn't see the top videos. So we could see, maybe we could learn from them if we saw them. Was that well thought out? It probably was from the executive level, but maybe not from the broker level. So maybe you got to get down to the level of your brokers, and then maybe the brokers have to get down to the level of the local area that they're working in.
Here's my thinking on that, though. The market is too good for that to make sense to work, in my opinion on this part.
The market's too good for what to make sense?
To go back to the local geographic mindset for just a second, let me finish the thought on it. So right now, it's relatively easy to get real estate business, because all you have to do is get in the middle of a transaction that's happening anyway, and that's the real truth of this industry is people are going to buy and they're going to sell with or without
And
you.
you do that by talking to more people and keep talking to people until you find somebody that's getting ready to do a transaction.
And now it's so much easier at scale to talk with people that you can become top of mind faster, and you can snag enough deals to make decent money, right? Without having to get super granular with your focus as far as what you're going to actually do. Now, if you do, you're going to do better, which is why we do our lanes and all that stuff too. But the reason why we don't have 100% adoption to the lane concept is because they don't need to, right? Like we were sitting in Mike Ferry's thing today with Mike, and his, no question about it, works, right? His system, kind of what we grew up in, right? And you've known him forever too, is 100% works. But the percentage of agents who would do that is very, very small.
Well, I think there's another part of that too. The world has changed. Who has that landline now? Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And when your cell phone rings with a number you don't know, if you're a consumer, you typically don't answer it.
Right.
So when the agent makes the rapid number of phone calls to connect people, they're not going to get anybody answering the phone. And Mike used to teach them not to leave a voicemail. Now you got to leave a voicemail, or else you keep dialing empty numbers all day long.
Right.
So when you could maybe make 60 contacts an hour, I think you're hard pressed using the phone to make that.
And you can't use an auto dialer because it's illegal.
Because it's illegal.
And so there's all kinds of weird technical things out there. But I think the issue is there's too many options, and they truly do all work right now, enough to get you okay money. But to be able to really crank this out at a high level, there's not many people that want to do it.
Right.
And that's why, I mean, the top agents, the top agents do work with Mike, because he can take that drive and just laser focus it and make them even more machines. Right. So but that DNA strand is rare, and it's attracted to that more than the other ones too. Right. So it's interesting.
Well, I was talking to a group of our agents out there, and they all love Mike because we love Mike, we promote Mike, but they thought the other two speakers were more exciting to them.
For sure.
100%.
And that's why Tom's got 10 times more people in his seminars, because Tom doesn't make you feel bad. And it's okay. You could just kind of play around on Facebook and be just fine. And Mike's like, go talk to people. And so one of
the figures that he brought out today was that 85% of the homes in this country are listed by 10% of the agents.
I've heard that.
So that's pretty heavy.
Yep.
Now, why is that? Because the rest of the agents are focusing on buyers or renters, or
they're focusing on not focusing.
Or not focusing, yeah.
But thank God for the listing agents. We just need, and we say everyone should become one, but they can't be. Not everyone's, that goes back to self-awareness, right? And if you're not going to be, if you don't have the income goals, you're not going to prospect for 3 hours a day. And you're not going to go do 30 minutes of lead follow-up every single day for 5 days and go on 4 listing appointments a week. You're just not going to, because that will create so much income that you don't need it. And so you're going to fizzle out, and it's never going to happen.
Well, why did you do it, or how did you do it?
Because I was a greedy 20-year-old that wanted to make a shit ton of money, and that was the fastest way to do it, because it was a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more money you make, and that was true then. It's true now, but it was easy to make those numbers, because to Craig's point, it was easy to have the numbers. I had the phone number of every street, right, that I wanted to work in. I have their names and their phone numbers, and I could call them all and say, hey, just listen to new house, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, when you plan on moving. So then you could just get into that system.
Well, now for a couple of bucks, you can contact tons of people on Facebook.
Yeah.
So if you were able to do that, which you're highly successful in real estate, don't you owe it to people to not say, well, they won't do it because that's the way they are? It's your job to
If
make
you're
sure
willing
they
to do
do
it, raise your hand and let us know, because you're a truly unique individual.
Okay, and a lot of them will raise their hand and then they won't do that.
Right.
But what do we have to do to make them feel that they owe it to us and
Hey, Puma.
themselves to do that? You know, is our culture
Can you turn that off for me? Or
so
just show me what
good
it's doing?
that if people are amazed at what Jeff can produce and they say, help me, Jeff, so Jeff has to figure out how to do that without saying, well, it's just because they're millennials or they don't care or whatever.
Yeah.
What about,
do to be better as brokers
first of all, get a little selfish.
help people.
You deserve. Well, that's the slogan on the back of our shirt, or the front of our shirt in this case: empower, educate, and encourage. I had the same revelation the other day at the sales meeting, and on Wednesday I needed something to talk about for our team huddle, and I said, you know what? I'm sick of it. You guys deserve better. And I went on a rant about how some of them feel guilty when you sell $1 million house and make a $30,000 commission, because it's a lot of money for selling that house. And I constantly reminded them that think of all the sales you thought you made that you didn't, or the deals you wrote that didn't close. You know, we do a lot of things. So I built them up in the empower part, reminding them all the valuable things we do to consumers to help them, which took away one of those things. And then I said, and you do deserve it. And one of the agents stood up and says, hey, I do deserve it. I just spent $500 on a spa day for myself at the Sand Pearl. And she did the full-on facial, manicure, pedicure, all that stuff, and she treated herself. And I said, this is the encourage part. What about, okay, first of all, get a little selfish. You deserve to take care of yourself. You deserve to live in a nice house. You deserve to have nice things. What would an extra sale a month, $7,000 in your pocket, what's that going to do for you?
Yep.
And we started getting to dream a little bit. So that's, I think, one of the things you're saying. A broker should empower, educate, and encourage their agents to reach for higher things. Because left to their own demise, you're going to be very comfortable where you've always been.
Or lower things too. Like one of the agents here right now from the South Tampa office, we're talking about her business plan and what her next level is. I mean, Centurion office does extremely well. And so we're going to start, because she doesn't really ever want to do much business plan because she hasn't had to, because she still makes a few $100,000 a year, right? Mm-hmm. However, as we're talking about the business that is evolving, and she's very vulnerable because one market segment is a big chunk of her business. And so we started talking about what is the next level. And she's like, well, I want to go to this level. I said, I don't think you do, because why would you? Why? Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you need more money? You don't even spend what you make. You don't even come close to spending what you make. You have more money in the bank than you know what to really do with. It's not the money, but it's the what are you going to try to do? So maybe your business model is not necessarily more deals, but fewer deals at higher numbers. Mm-hmm. So you can alter your schedule and your lifestyle and have a little more time with the kids or whatever you may want to do. So I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying that's what our step one plan is. Right. And if you go back to what is our role as a broker or as a leader, it's to have that conversation with every person that puts their life, their livelihood,
right, their license,
with us, right, as a partner, not give it to us. I mean, that's our partner.
In order to empower, educate, and encourage them, we have to know what their dreams are.
And most people don't.
A beautiful segue.
I mean, it's a tough thing to even know. I mean, we're talking, you're evolving your goals right now too.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know what I want, and I'm comfortable where I am. But
that's
I'm eager for more.
That's a good segue into what I want to say, because what you're saying shows that you have concern about the success of your agents. And you can get them, you were talking to them on a rant on Wednesday, and it may be as simple as you know who's on that rant from where you're broadcasting. But I can't see who else is on the rant from me watching it, like we used to do.
Right.
All right, when we had a different model, and you know, technology comes and we think things are not important.
So you're saying we used to have people come to the office at 8:30 and we'd give a class in a meeting room?
No, I'm saying the next step above. We broadcast in such a way that you could see that Mary, who was on there every day, you could see the list of people that were on there, that Mary was gone for 3 days, and you're worrying about Mary, and you give her a call, and what happened, Mary?
Right.
Well, I've been sick for a few days.
Right.
Now, maybe you can see it where you're broadcasting from, but when I'm on there, you can't see, so therefore I'm not held accountable. That means that you are not getting what you have committed to give for yourself, because you desperately care about the success of your agents. But if you don't I don't want to say shame them into doing what they say they're going to do, but yeah, I'll say that. If I tell you I'm going to do something and I continuously don't do it over and over again, I'm going to feel bad about myself. If you catch me doing that enough times and I feel bad enough about myself, I'm going to start doing it well. Or we can start right away and say, before you come to us, here's the minimum production that we want. Is it too much to ask that everybody in person shows up on a Tuesday for 1 hour in your job? And if you don't, you give us an excuse. And I couldn't do that in a way that wouldn't piss people off, but you could, or Jeff certainly could, and say, hey, we got to have you, and we're a team, and we won't be successful if you're not here. So you got to tell us. We got to, we're like the Navy SEAL team. If one of our members is falling back, what do we do to get them all together again?
I have a different twist on that.
I'm sure you do.
And here's the thing. I was talking to a couple of agents after a session today, and it was about Mike Ferry thing. I was saying, look, that's how I grew the business, and it's not the only way. It's one of the ways that works. And why don't we do the script practices the way that we did before? Why don't we do that? I said, because it's a waste of breath, right? And I meant that in a loving way, but I said it's a waste of breath because the goals, right, of the recipients at that moment, that in that specific office, nobody has the need to go out and make that type of income right now. So does that fail from our standpoint to instill that, or do you accept that that's just their choice and their lifestyle right now? So my view on that is to go at scale.
Everybody in the same box, they all don't need money?
No. They don't need to go do 3 hours of prospecting and 4 listing appointments a week. You're going to make $500,000 a year, right? You just are in our marketplaces. And there's not many people that need or want to. A lot of them want to, but it's a bullshit want because they really don't want to, because you also are going to be, the schedule is going to be nuts. You're not going to see your family very much. The trade-off's not really there. So my point, the reason I started to say this is you can help everybody help themselves to figure out what they actually want that puts a big ass smile on their face. But at some point you can't get people to do what you want them to do, even though you think it's good for them until they're ready, right? So one of the things that we're doing while we're doing the things that we're doing here is to scale out this. So it's an average, a numbers game, right? So if you're talking to 500 people, a certain percentage of them are going to do well and be motivated to be top agents, right? Every quarter, 80, 90 agents?
Right.
Are all making nice six figures?
But there's an example of the Empower, Educate, and Encourage. That whole top quarter luncheon was an encouragement to reach a different level.
Right.
And then there's a psychology behind it, because once they reach that level, they don't want to fall off that level.
Right.
So they want to push harder to at least maintain it.
So when we have 5,000 agents, then that's going to be 800 people instead of 80.
We're
right.
going to have
So
a hard time finding a venue.
No, we will figure. There's stadiums all over the place.
If we took 400 agents and we said, we have 3 special words that we use, we want you to write them down. We're going to give you 5 minutes to write them down. What percentage of our 400 would be able to write those 3 words down? I'll bet you $100.
Depends on how you ask the question.
The bet's on. It's recorded.
And then, would it be easier? Let's say that 50% did know Empower, Educate, and Encourage. And what if you, before you told them to remember that, you told them that's exactly what the job of Beggins Enterprises is, with our buyers and our sellers, to empower, educate, and encourage them. And here's the script that we're going to use for those things. And just imagine if we do those things with our buyers and sellers, what that will do to you. The same exact thing. We're all in one big lump. We're all the same. Mm-hmm. And that empower, educate, and encourage is what you do with your children, what you do with your clients, with your agents. And in order to do that, you have to show up. So we're going to have basic rules here that you show up. And just like we're going to do with our customers, and we're going to say, we'll show up here and we'll have this many open houses and we'll do this and all the other stuff, and get it down to a simple 3-word company. And that 3-word company can go over the top. So from your standpoint, we know you care about everybody, but you can't demonstrate it unless they're in front of you in some way.
Once they engage.
Make it simple.
And then you got to penalize them for not showing up, so you end up firing them because they didn't show up, but they're doing business. That doesn't work in this world.
Or can you trick them into that without having to fire them and to make them want to do that? I mean, it wasn't hard to get you guys to hang out at the bar last night, right?
Well, we were highly motivated to do so.
Yeah, because you had 3 special words in there: empower, educate, and encourage.
Yeah, that's work for us, just so you know.
Huh?
Yeah, but
I know.
But here's the point, though. There are agents here at this conference that don't work anywhere near our offices,
That's right.
right? That engage more with us than some of our agents, right? Which
Shame
is
on their brokers.
well, whatever. It's an attraction. It's an issue. And we do this because the rising tide raises all boats. But it's interesting and it's pretty exciting to see people literally from all over the country and different places in the world following that. It's not that it's great or it's perfect or it's better. It's just it's attractive, which should be the reason for you watching to start reaching out to something. This has been a very long tail play for us.
This is 2.5 years?
2.5 years of doing this nonstop, day in and day out.
Wasn't
Right,
this
with-
just what you did in that little apartment in Brandon? You're prospecting to a lot of people in a different way, just like you are right now.
Oh my God. I wish I had this when I first started in this business. It's
Well, you do, and you're using it.
right. Right. But at a different scale, but it's a whole different business though, because that was hunt, kill, right? This is
Relate.
connect. I was not into connect. I was into wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, get it done. There you go, Jonathan. Right. So, I mean, that was it. I went for the kill. I want to get a deal right now and close it.
Right.
And then this is not that. This is the furthest thing from that,
Right.
because empower, educate, encourage, that there's people watching that know that we actually care. There's people that call us that don't work for us that ask questions and contract questions and motivation
There's a guy
questions.
hunted me down in the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig. Who are you?
Yeah.
I looked at his name bag. He works in, where does he work? Just here, that guy.
Johnny?
Oh,
Johnny.
Yeah.
He's like
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
And he's the number 4 agent in the state, and it's his first full year in the business.
Yep.
And he credited you guys for doing his education. That's where he gets his education.
Right.
Crazy.
So, but here's the thing: from an agent level, you
But
need to
he's
be.
watching it, and our agents aren't.
Well, I don't think that's a fair statement too. He's watching, and the agents are watching it. And so, but you know what? There's agents of ours that don't like this content, but who cares, right? And it's not to try to be everything to everybody, because it's impossible
We're not
to
making
do
anything
that.
wrong for not liking what we do.
Is
Right.
there anything wrong with the 3 words that we use?
I don't think so. It's better not be. It's an entire logo built around.
Well, I
them.
think maybe if we make it clear to people how that works and how it relates to their clients also,
Yep.
and their children.
Yep.
Well, let's play on that for a second. I'm going to empower a seller to sell their house. How would I do that? I'd consistently give them market valuations, let them know what the house is worth. I'd show them alternative things they could own. I'd show them the benefit of renting versus selling. That'd be empower, educate. That's both of them right there in the
Well,
thing.
if you empower somebody, if you give them market knowledge, that's knowledge, and it will show them whether they should be selling or not. Most agents, if they're going to go take an Op City lead and do something up in 50 miles away from where they live, they really can't empower that customer a whole lot, because they don't know as much as the customer does about the neighborhood.
Yep.
Or not just geographically, because I'm a farming nut, but niche marketing. Niche marketing is Facebook marketing or podcasts or
Yep.
different things.
So there's all kinds of stuff. So that's why we're called BE3, and that's the mantra inside of our company, Beggins Enterprises. The company BE3 is kind of our mission, and it's just doing it. So,
But you know it more than everybody else because you developed it. Craig knows it more than I do because he's been empowered by you and educated and all that other stuff. I'm starting to understand it, and now I'm seeing that it can be just like the art of real estate, because now it's down to 3 words. People don't have time to remember 10 words.
Right.
So 3 words, and how does that work as far as giving people a better lifestyle? So the whole art of life betterment gets down into the 3 words, and then the other parts of it go from there. But
Yep.
does everybody have the mantra, and are they able to sing the mantra of the 3 words? Once we get that, and then they'll go out and tell their friends about, oh, let me empower you to do this by,
Yep.
if you know what you're saying about all the units that you're selling, and you can actually have a vacation in the house that you buy that's going to appreciate, and you can come down and use that by buying one of these things. And how does that work without
And it pays for
being an
itself.
accountant and all that stuff? But the concept is there because in certain areas things appreciate so much
Yeah.
because so many people want to come there.
But that's a good example. So the empower, educate, encourage part is to really simplify it and say, not only should you buy one, but here's what it costs, because I know you have equity. This is what it costs to pull an equity line out. This is what your monthly payment is on that equity line. And here's the person to call to actually get the equity line. This is how long it takes. And this is what your return would be.
And here's another person that will beat that person because we've just related and educated them on,
That's right.
on the advantages of investing in this particular area.
Right. So that's the mantra. So we just wanted to just wrap this up for the sake of time. But empower, educate, encourage is what we do. And
If you like it, keep watching.
No,
But I think
and
it's
if
been
you
good
don't like
format.
it, understand it, because there's no way you would not like those 3 words to see how they would better your life.
yep,
It'd be a good format for all future podcasts. What are we empowering? What are we educating? What are we encouraging?
yep.
today?
I'll bring some agents in to play that. So
That's right.
we've got some big things coming and a lot of fun things happening. And
Well,
Stay tuned.
To end with one thing about the little city that we're working in. If we empowered, educated, and encouraged all the people that are against responsible development in our city, we would be able to have the best city in the whole state of Florida, right? And it's only a matter of educating and empowering them and enabling them to do this.
yep. No, it's far reaching. It's a far reaching deal. So the shirts are looking good. Logo's looking good. Energy's getting bigger and better.
I like what Puma put on the back. Be encouraged.
Yeah, I like that too.
B-E-B-E.
And you
Yep,
can
yep.
tell
then
that
BE3
people are
below.
paying attention when they look at the logo on the front and their eyes start crossing because they see a B and E and it gets confusing.
That's right.
Arrow.
Very cool. Well, we're going to sign off from beautiful LA, and we'll
80
come back
degrees
to
for
you.
those of you not in Florida or LA, because it's 80 degrees in Florida
That's
today
right.
too.
And this is-
Flip-flops.
Yep, the dress flip flops are busted out in LA for Dad, so it's cool. So, all right, well, guys, thank you for watching as always. Share it. Nathan, you want to see it? Hit us up for some information. Keep watching, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.